In this video, we will be accessing the storage of one of the nodes. Now, get your coffee ready and let's get started. I'm Garrett and this is TimberTech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access the storage device of a Turing PI node. However, please note that this method does not yet work for the Raspberry Compute Module 5. It's not supported yet. And also, it is not yet working for direct access to the NVMe drive. With that out of the way, let's get started. First, what is direct access? Direct access to a Turing PI node's storage device means that we are accessing the storage chip directly. It's literally the same as taking the hard drive of a computer, putting that into another computer to access its contents. And that is what I'm going to show you guys. Well, now we know what it is. So the next question is, why do you need it? Well, there are multiple reasons why you want to access the storage of a node directly. But here are the most common ones. We lost SSH access to the node, which means we no longer can log in and we need to fix that. Debugging or any other type of maintenance. And also, which is also used common, is we want to do an initial provisioning. So when it comes to Ubuntu, there's an industry standard called cloud-init and cloud-config that allows you to do some initial provisioning the first time a server boots up, setting SSH keys, configuring users, etc. Now, by directly accessing the storage device of a node after you flashed it, you can load this cloud-init configuration so that the first time the node boots up, it provisions that initial configuration, sets up additional users, SSH keys, and then we can continue the provisioning through Ansible, for example. Those are the most common reasons why you want to access the storage of a node directly. Let's get started on accessing the storage. Finally, let's get started. Let me show you guys how to do this. First, you need to open a terminal. So you can either use WSL on the Windows or your Linux or macOS terminal. The first thing what we're going to do is we're going to log in to the BMC. So with SSH, we are going to log in with root to the turingpi.local, our Turing PI. And we're going to log in with the default password Turing, at least in my case. So we are now logged in. Now, to access the storage device of a node, first thing you need to do is turn off this node. And you can do that with TPI power, and then you give the node, for example, node 1 off. And it will turn off the node. You can check the status of your nodes with TPI power status. All my nodes are off. Now we need to give the command to access and to mount the storage of the node into the BMC. And that allows us to access it. So how do we do that? You can do that with the TPI command, and it will boot the node into storage mode and attach its disk, its storage chip, to the BMC. And I'm going to do this now for node 1. So that's TPI, and then we're going to go with advanced MSD, mass storage driver, and we're going to do it for node 1. Now this can take a few moments because it needs to boot the node into storage mode. And there we have it. Now we have the storage of node 1 attached to the BMC. Now we need to find it. Well, in Linux, all devices are in the device folder. That's /dev. and Node 1 storage will show up there as a hard drive. So let's move to the device folder. And here you can see all devices. Now, what we are looking for is a device that starts with SD, then a letter, and then you get numbers for partitions. So, easy way to find it, ls SD asterisk. And there we have it. So in this case, it will be SDA and SDA 1 and 2. Now, let me explain this. These numbers will, by the way, these letters will increase. So next time you do it, it might be SDB or SDC. Now, what do we see here right now? We see the hard drive, the storage chip itself, the device itself, and that is SDA. And then each partition on the hard drive will get a sequential number, meaning first partition is 1, second partition, etc. So SDA is the hard drive, SDA1 is partition 1 of this drive, SDA2 is partition 2. Now, when it comes to your Turing PI nodes, SDA1 will be the boot partition and SDA2 will be the root file system. And I'm going to show you how to access both. But first, what we need to access it is we need to mount it, and then we need to be able to access it. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 directories, one for each partition. We're going to mount it, and we continue from there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a directory in the mount folder, and I'm going to call it boot for the boot partition, and mkdir /p mount/node. Cool. Now we have one directory for each partition, and we're now going to mount each partition in that directory to access it. So let's clear the screen. Now, mounting a device, mounting a hard drive is not rocket science. It's actually pretty easy. So we are going to mount, and we're going to device SDA, because in my case it's A, and we're going to mount partition 1, that's the boot partition, into /mount/boot. That's it. Now, if we gonna check a list of this directory, we now see the contents of the boot partition of node 1. Now let's continue with the root file system. Mount/dev SDA2, and we're gonna go to mount, and we're gonna mount this in the folder directory node. And done. Now, ls/mount node, and now we should see the contents of the root file system of node 1. And there you have it. It's that easy. Now, you can use this method to what I said earlier, to load your cloud-init configuration, then reboot the node. It will do its initial provisioning, and then you can continue with Ansible or any other tool you have to continue your provisioning. You can even set host names through this method so that when it boots up the first time, you can actually access it straight up by the correct host name you want it to have. Now, before we continue and end this video, you need to finish and finalize it, which means you need to understand how to unmount this storage device and get the node back to normal operations, which is also not hard. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna unmount these directories. So we can do that directly by giving the directory full path, or we can do it by going to the mount directory and give the directory. So I'm going to use the full path. Now, unmounting a device is done by the unmount command, and that's written as umount. So umount /mount/boot. And if we then check the contents of /mount/boot, you will see there's nothing there. it got released from the BMC. And then we do a umount of mount node. We're gonna check it. Also empty. Now we got the disk unmounted, but we're not done yet. You need to release the disk from the BMC, which is done with shutting off the node. There are two ways of doing this, by the way. You can shut off the node, and the next time it boots up, it will be in normal operation. Or you give the TPI command directly to return the node to normal operations. However, when you do the second one, I just said by issuing the command to return to normal operations, that means that the node will automatically reboot. And in my case, I don't want that. So we need to return the node to normal. And I'm gonna do that by simply turning off the node. So we can actually check right now. If we do TPI power status, we see that the node is turned on because it's turned on in storage mode. So the only thing we have to do is simply TPI power off node 1. Okay, TPI power status. And now we're done. And if we now gonna check the device folder of the BMC, the storage disk of node 1 should no longer be there. So /dev clear lsst asterisk, and it's gone, which means we have now fully released the disk of node 1 from the BMC. And that's it. That's how easy it is to access the storage device of a Turing PI node. I hope this video will help you if you need access to the storage of your node. Now, if you enjoyed this video, comment, like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video. I'm Garrett, and this is TimmerTech.